Welcome to the next video in the Mastering Salesforce campaign series. In this video, we will review how to set up campaign influence to measure the impact of your campaigns on opportunities. We will explain the difference between primary versus non-primary influence, how to set up auto-association rules, and how to create and read campaign influence reports. Let's hop over to Salesforce and see the steps needed to successfully set up and use campaign influence. Our first step is to enable campaign influence. We're going to go into Setup, search Campaign Influence, go to Campaign Influence Settings, and then enable Campaign Influence and click Save. Next, we need to create a permission set to assign to all of our users so that they'll have access to campaign influence. This includes even admins. Admins do not automatically have access to campaign influence. We'll make this license type a sales user, and then we'll give this a description. Search campaign influence here. Click edit, and then you'll enable this setting here. Your next step is to assign this permission set to all users who are going to need access to campaign influence. Our next step is to set up what are called auto association settings. We'll go to those settings here underneath campaign influence. Now today we're going to learn how to set up campaign influence so that it just runs, meaning the auto association settings are going to automatically create your campaign influence records that you will use for reporting. Now there are other ways that you can set up models, you can set up automations in Flow or Apex that will automatically create your campaign influence records. We're not going to go over those today. We're going to use the auto association settings to automatically create our records. So here we have a couple of choices. We need to set up the campaign influence eligibility limits. This means what are the number of days between when the contact is added to a campaign and the opportunity's creation date. So you need to set the campaign influence time frame here. Now there's a really great article from Salesforce that describes how the time frame works, and I'm going to pull this up here. I'll also provide a link to this article in the description below. This article reviews a scenario where the time frame is set to 10 days in the auto association settings. And then here's how it works when it's calculated. So in scenario 1, where we have an opportunity that was created on September 15th, 2014, we have a member of a campaign was first associated with the campaign on December 2014. This means that the campaign member was associated with the campaign after the op was created. It doesn't matter when the contact was added to the opportunity as a contact role, it just matters when that op was created. So what happens is the op created date minus the campaign member created date gives you the number that's going to be used to understand what the time frame was. So in this example, it's minus 26, so that's less than the time frame that was set, which is 10. So therefore, this campaign is going to create a campaign influence record on the opportunity. In the second scenario, the campaign member created date was March 19th, 2014. The op created date was August 12th. So the campaign member was first associated with the campaign prior to the op being created. So it takes the op created date minus the campaign member created date, and we get 146, which is more than 10. So therefore, this campaign does not influence this opportunity, and it will not create a campaign influence record. So now you need to decide what should your time frame be, knowing and understanding how these time frames are going to be calculated, and that's for you to decide. Now, the beautiful thing about auto association settings is you can change them at any point in time, and Salesforce is going to automatically go and recalculate all of the campaign influence records. It'll create new ones if it's supposed to, delete ones that no longer fit the criteria. So this means that you can change your mind, and you can change your mind often with zero impact. Well, maybe some impact to your reporting. If your reporting's constantly changing, that could become problematic. But don't feel like you have to figure this out from day one. And also another thing to consider here is if you want to look at 180 days and then compare that to what it looks like with a time frame of 90, I would suggest that you make your time frame 180 days, because you can always filter your campaign influence reports to look at a time frame of 30 days or look at a time frame of 90 days and do comparisons that way. So cast a wider net, get more data into your campaign influence object, and then you can always filter it down using filters on your reports, and we'll show you how that works. And we're going to set our campaign influence timeframe to 180 days. Our sales cycle is typically 1 to 2 years, so we want to give a longer time frame for campaign influence records to be created. Now down here we have some additional ways that we can further filter and control when campaign influence records are created. In here, in this dropdown, you'll see that there's all your fields from your campaign record are here to choose from, as well as fields from your campaign member records. Now, if you watched our Mastering Salesforce campaign series and you set up all of your campaign member statuses and record types and types, you're really all set to just dive right into the setup here. One of the most important things, in my opinion, of setting up campaign influence is having a way to identify which campaign member statuses are considered engaged. So for example, a click in an email could be considered engaged or responded versus not opening or clicking an email at all. So you need to be able to identify which statuses are considered responded. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about here, go and check out our initial setup on our Mastering Salesforce campaign series, and it will explain how to set up your campaign member statuses in this way. We're going to use a filter of responded equal to true. Now we only want campaign influence records to be created for those campaign members that have a status where responded is equal to true, because this means that they actually engaged with the campaign. There could be other filters that you want to add. Maybe you only have certain types of campaigns that you want to include in this. We do have a type of parent in our campaigns that we don't want to consider campaign influence, and maybe there's others that you could include here. We're just going to leave ours to be filtering for these, so we'll click save. And then you'll get a message like this. This means that your campaign influence records are currently being created by Salesforce. So as soon as you refresh this page and you don't see that message anymore, all your campaign influence records have been successfully created. Our next step here is to go back and add our campaign influence related lists to our opportunity and campaign layouts. I'm going to first go to the opportunity object, go to my opportunity layout, and then I can see now I have a campaign influence related list here. You can choose which fields you want to show. It'll allow you to show any fields from your campaign object, and then I'll add responded there because we're filtering on that, and then I'll add the type. Then I'll go to the campaign object. And I'm going to add my related list to all of my campaign page layouts. You'll see that the related list here is called influenced opportunities. So you'll be able to see all of the influenced opportunities right directly from the campaign, which is nice. Our next step is to test this out. We're going to go to a contact here, Alex Troy, and Alex Troy has a lot of campaign history here. We can see that it's a variety of campaigns that Alex has engaged with or not engaged. You can see some are responded equal to true while others are false. So this will be a good example to test out with. We're going to create a new opportunity right from the contact here. One thing to note on your opportunities and campaign influence records. Campaign influence records are not created on opportunities that have a close date in the past. So this is really important, something that has gotten me when troubleshooting and trying to figure out why my campaign influence records are not being created. Make sure to check your opportunity close dates. Okay, so we can see here one thing important to note. Whenever you create an opportunity directly from a contact, what happens is the primary campaign source field on the opportunity is automatically populated with the campaign that the contact was most recently related to. So this is an automatic thing. This also happens whenever you convert leads. So if you create an opportunity during lead conversion, the most recent campaign that lead was associated with is going to become your primary campaign source. And here's where we get into the difference between primary campaign influence and non-primary campaign influence. So primary campaign influence assumes that this campaign is influencing 100% of this opportunity. I'll click save here. I'm going to go to this opportunity. And so I can see something has happened here. I can see a contact role record was automatically created for Alex. Now this is the second thing that is crucial for campaign influence. Your sales teams have to add contacts to the contact roles on the opportunity. This is the only way for campaign influence to work. The contact has to be a member of the campaign and they have to be a member on the contact role. Now, this is something that you're going to maybe be frustrated with your sales teams because it is very difficult for them to remember to always add the people who they are engaging with on their opportunities. Now, instead of yelling at them or trying to train them over and over again, we actually have a really great idea for you. We have a video that's coming out that's going to show you how to automate the creation of contact roles based on activities related to the opportunity. So if a salesperson creates a task or a meeting or an email related to the opportunity, we're going to read all of the people who are on that task, event, or email and automatically add them to the contact roles on the opportunity. This will really help your sales teams out by automating that entire process. It will also help you marketers out by giving you the campaign influence reporting that you're looking for. Now let's review the campaign influence records that were created. So we can see that there are 8 records, and we can see that there are 7 emails and 1 sales support campaign. We can also see that one of them has a 100% influence while all the others have 0. This one right here that has 100% influence is the primary campaign source. Whenever you see that, you know that that campaign was the primary campaign source on the opportunity. Now, unless you require it, not all opportunities have to have a primary campaign source, and some of them may not have one. then all these others, these 7 records, were automatically created from our campaign influence settings. So if we go back to Alex and we open up the campaigns that he is a part of, and we sort by responded equal to true, we can see that there are actually 8 as well here. And the campaign that he was most recently a part of that became the primary campaign source is this one right here, the InsurTech Connect Sales Support. So it looks like our campaign influence settings are working correctly. The next thing I want to show you is what happens when you add another person as a contact role. We're going to come here and we're going to add Johnny Walker. And then we're going to look at campaign influence. And we can see that it looks like Johnny Walker, let's refresh this here. All right, there we go. We can see that Johnny Walker doesn't have any other campaigns, but a record was added for the InsurTech Connect. So let's go ahead and look at Johnny Walker's campaigns here. So Johnny Walker was a part of this. So this is why this record was added here. And then you can see, since this is the primary campaign source, 50% of the revenue is attributed to Johnny and 50% of the revenue is attributed to Alex. The next thing I want to show you is what happens whenever the primary campaign source is changed. So I'll change this to the BTA conference in Australia, and I'll click save. And then we're going to come over here to campaign influence, and we're going to see here that we have a record for BTA conference Australia. We don't have any contact names, and that's because Alex and Johnny, the 2 people in the contact roles, were not a member of this campaign. If we want to confirm that, we can go look at the campaign, look at the campaign members, and confirm that neither Johnny nor Alex were a part of this campaign. So there's no Alex and no Johnny here. Now what we do see is 2 records here still stayed for the old primary campaign influence, which is correct. We would expect to see those because Alex and Johnny were both part of this campaign, and we can see that there is a 0% influence percentage. Now, if we went back and we changed the primary campaign source back to this InsurTech Connect and click save, then we'll go back to campaign influence. And we can see that the revenue share is back at 50% for the InsurTech Connect campaign. And then we can see that the BTA conference in Australia is still here. Now, you may not want that to show anymore. You may want to quote unquote fix this, right? Because this is technically not correct. We don't have any people who were a part of this conference, and we don't have a primary campaign source that's this conference either. Now, what happens in Salesforce is the campaign influence records are not automatically deleted whenever this occurs. We will show you in a future video how you can create a flow that will automate the deletion of these records. So whenever a primary campaign source is changed and there's no contacts that are associated with that campaign influence record, we want to delete it. Now, you have to delete these records via the API using Data Loader, using Flow, using your Dev Console. There's no way to delete these records from the UI. I will provide this query in the description below. So you'll run this query, select ID, op ID, contact ID, influence from campaign influence where opportunity ID equals, and we'll just pull this ID here. And then we're also looking for contact ID to be null. So we'll hit execute there. and then we'll delete. And then you can see that that record is now gone. So you can run that query in Data Loader to get all your records and clean them up every so often, but we will be showing you how to automate that. Now let's see what happens whenever we update our auto association settings to filter out the type equal to email. So we'll come over to Setup, we'll go to Auto Association, and I'm going to filter out campaigns with a type equal to email. You can see it's calculating, and now I'll come back to my campaign influence related list from my opportunity. I'll click refresh, and then I can see that all of the email campaign influence records were deleted. I can also see that my BTA conference for Australia is now back. I don't know why it comes back. This is an important reason why we would want to delete it and automate the deletion of these records. So we'll be showing you a video on that for sure. We can go back to our dev console if we wanted to clean that up and manually delete it. Obviously, this is not a scalable solution. But every time you run those auto association settings rules, it looks like your old primary campaign source campaign influence record will come back into your campaign influence record. Now I'm going to update my auto association settings again. I will put email back, take email back out. Click save. And now we should see our email campaign influence records come back in, and our BTA conference for Australia also comes back in. Next, we want to go over how campaign influence reporting works. We're going to click on this campaign here, and we can see that we've got a couple of opportunities that are showing as influenced. Now, if we wanted to run a report, we've got a standard report link down here, which when you click it in Lightning, you will see that it doesn't work at all. So we will create a new report, and then we will update this link so that it works for our report. You are going to choose the report type called Campaigns with Influenced Opportunities, Customizable Campaign Influence. And you're going to group by whether or not this is primary influence versus non-primary influence. And that's going to add a checkbox that will show true or false. Now we're going to change our filters so that we pull in all campaigns. And since this is a report that's going to be invoked from the campaign page, we need to add our filter campaign ID equals blank. And then in our link, we're going to pass the campaign ID as a parameter in the URL. Now we're going to sum the opportunity amount, and then we're going to create a formula field, a summary formula here that's going to show us the number of ops we have. Okay, we want that to show at all summary levels. We'll click apply. And then we will save and run this. So you can call this view campaign influence. Campaign page. You'll want to put this in a folder where nobody's going to modify it. That's always important. Okay, so we're not going to see any results in our report because we have this filter on it. If you wanted to just see what your report is going to look like, you can take that filter off, and then we can collapse this down and we can see that we have our counts. We have 145,000 opportunities in the opportunity amount from campaign influence, non-primary campaign influence. From primary campaign influence, we have 25,000. We can see our record count and our number of ops is very different. In your campaign influence reports, your record count is showing the number of records, number of campaign influence records that are showing in the report. So there will be one campaign influence record for each contact for each opportunity. We can see here that some and for each campaign, we can see that some contacts are showing 4 times in the same op. So using record count to count the number of opportunities is going to be severely inflated. Now, another thing I want to show you is that we can see the opportunity amount is not inflated. This report is smart enough to say, all right, there's only 2 opportunities here, one for 120,000 and one for 25,000, and it gives me a total of 145. So your users may think this number is going to be inflated because they see a contact showing more than once on the same report, and you can assure them that it's not being double counted. Same down here for primary, it is not being double counted. All right, let's refresh this report, and this should go back to showing it with the filter. Now we're ready to create our link, or actually update our link. We're going to go to setup, then object manager, campaign, go to buttons, links, and actions, go to that view campaign influence report link, and we can see here that that link absolutely will not work in Lightning. That is a classic link. We'll provide you with the link in the description below that you can use. So you'll paste the link in here, and then your report ID goes here. So we'll go back to our report here. We'll grab the ID and we'll paste it in there. We can see that the FV0 is going to pass the campaign ID into the first filter in our report. If you had a second filter you wanted to pass a parameter to, you could just add another one that would be called FV1, and then it would go to FV2. We will click save here, and then we'll go back to our campaign page. We'll refresh this, and then we'll click our link. And then we can see our 6 records that we saw in the influenced ops related list, and we can see all the details about those records. All right, so that should be enough to get you started on your campaign influence journey. That's it, that's a wrap. Be sure to subscribe to Blue Tiger Academy so you don't miss out on the next video we are working on that will show you how to automate the creation of opportunity contact roles for your sales teams. We will show you how to create flows on the task, event, and email message objects that will add the contacts related to the opportunity as a contact role on the opportunity. Let us know in the comments below if you have any questions or if you would like to see a video on a different Salesforce topic. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.